the umpires are out there. The two batters are there as well. They're ready. India were in there. Actually, they came out quite a long way before the umpires. They were in the huddle talking at the far end of the ground, and then they're strolling to take up their positions. So it was one of those mornings. It's a bit of a phony war in a sense. No one is ahead in the game. 61 for 2. The game's not particularly advanced either. Tuffers is alongside me. Joe Root's been skittish so far. LBW against Dom Sibley just before lunch. Tuffers.
I'd given that out from my position. Fancied that one. I'd have been slightly disappointed. I mean, it was umpire's call, so it was hitting. Just, half millimetres hitting the middle of the stump. It just looked right, didn't it? Anything on the back leg. He was down low, Sibley. Hit him on the sort of back thigh, didn't he? In front and middle. Oof. Lucky just before lunch as well, as I said. Deep was just saying there, it's 50-50. That would have been a really big push in India's favour if they'd have given that one.
Yeah, we were down in the television box together. Highlights tonight at 7 o'clock. I was really surprised that Kohli didn't review it. He'd reviewed one that was not out. Then I thought, should we review another one against Crawley? And he wasn't convinced. He went for it. That went in their favour. There was a thin edge onto the pad. And he didn't review that one. Of course, they wouldn't have lost their review if he had reviewed it, because it was umpire's call. Here's Shami, first ball after lunch. Root goes to the drive. Hits it straight to extra cover. Doesn't time it, but he was looking for the extra cover boundary. First ball after lunch.
Skittish is a good word. He's just looking, I don't know, he's looking at, he's always busy when he comes to the crease, isn't he, Joe Root? But I think he's sort of looking just to trying to get himself going and sort of have that little bit of luck early on when he sort of, they say, play an expansive drive, get it through extra cover or something, just to get a kickstart in his innings. But he's diced with death earlier just before lunch, didn't he?
He did, yeah. Sweepstakes for when he's going to catch up Sibley. Here's Shami, goes into bowl to Root. That's wide of off stump. It's short as well. Root doesn't play at it, and it goes through to Rishabh Pant. He's 12
balls. I'm going.
Sibley's on 18. Sibley must
don't have a go at Dom.
I'm not having a go at the Hoover Dom.
No, we love the Hoover Dom when he's doing his Dom damn impression. He's thou shalt not pass.
Well, it did strike me though in that morning session. He's ground it out all morning. Then Root comes out and reels off 3 boundaries off 3 balls. Yeah. Shami goes in and bowls to Root, and Root gets an inside edge onto his pad there, and the ball rolls away down into the gully. That was one that could easily have gone back onto his stumps. Didn't.
I tell you, I think Joe Root, excuse me, has just changed his technique a little bit. I think Kane Williamson plays with that very angled bat and lets the ball virtually just hit the bat on a defensive shot, which can be dangerous because you can get sort of drag-ons and play-ons like that. I think he's almost taken a leaf out of Kane Williamson's book, letting the ball come right under his eyes and play it right late.
He waits for Shami, and Root plays a straight ball defensively up towards mid-on. Root's 3-4 so far. There was one with an angled bat opening the face, very much like Kane Williamson, down to the deep third boundary. And then next ball, big drive, skewed away out through backward point in the air. I mean, if there'd been a fielder there, it would have been a straightforward catch. And then
off the toe.
Yeah, then he got a nice free ball on the pads.
I think that might just sort of betray a bit of a scrambled mind from the England skipper.
Yeah.
Might be wrong.
Shami bowls to Root. Root covers up, plays defensively back up the pitch, and there's no run. Well, it's been an odd summer for him, really. I mean, an odd year in a way. He hasn't really had the team that he wanted or
wants. His mate's not well,
and now he hasn't got the team he wants either for various reasons.
And now Ben Stokes is having a break and what have you. He's second in command. I was just going back to Sibley and everything and about being caught up. I bet he goes. Yeah, all right, Joe Root. You know what I mean? I've been out here all session. You come out with your 3-4s in 3 balls. I bet he goes, God, blimey.
Well, he survived that big shout for LBW just before lunch. Yep. Shami goes into bowl to Root, and Root flicks that away. First run after the lunch interval, down towards fine leg. Picked up by Bumrah, who presumably is going to continue. He brought back for 1 over. Just before lunch, and it nearly worked. Well, if umpire raised the finger, it would have worked. I mean, England would not have been able to overturn it on review. 62 for 2, but he didn't. And also that's the other thing as well. You look at Sibley and Burns, both were umpires' call. One was out, One was not out.
If anything, I mean, they both look, well, that's why both of them for me looked out. I mean, you know, Burns is one away, ball hoops back in, hits him on the front leg. That's what you're trying to do. And the same with Sibley's one. Hit him on the back thigh. That's what you're trying to do. So, yeah, I mean, you win some, you lose some.
Root's on 13. He's kept the bowling. That single from the final ball. The first over after lunch. It is going to be Bumrah to bowl. And he goes in now past umpire Kettleborough, and Root is back playing a ball on middle stump defensively into the onside, and it goes out to Siraj at mid-wicket, and there is no run. All the action has been at, if you like, the umpiring action has been at Richard Kettleborough's end in that first session. He's made 3 decisions, and one of them was upheld, one of them was overturned, and one of them was one of those sort of 50-50 ones where he gave it not out umpire's call for Sibley. Anyway, here we go. Here's Bumrah going into bowl full outside Root's off stump, and Root this time not tempted, he offered the pad and allowed it to go through to Pant.
You just get the feeling that sort of big booming swing has just left the building a bit, don't you? Now, there is some shape and there will be some sideways movement from this pitch with that little bit of live grass, but Bumrah really got it hooping this morning, and that's why I think Dom Sibley would be sort of patting himself on the back, you know, sort of saying, that's my job, get rid of that new ball.
Bumrah from the Radcliffe Road end bowls to Root, and Root is a flick shot through the offside. It was a strange looking shot. You think of a flick being onside, but it was a wristy force. They went straight to backward point and there's no run. He hit it well enough to reach the boundary, but it was straight at the fielder there.
It's a bit of a white ball shot, that, isn't it? Yeah. You know, I mean, usually you associate Joe with getting back on his toes, straight back through extra cover off the back foot, or a cut. That was just sort of a wait for it and then flick. You're right. A chop.
62 for 2, 3 slips in the gully. Bumrah bowls to Root. Root's in behind that nicely, playing out towards point. Straight cover, and there is no run. Root this summer had a couple of 40s in the first test against New Zealand at Lords, and then a couple of failures in the second test. It feels as if, to me, his year has sort of declined. He started really well, Sri Lanka, India, huge amount of runs, and then it's definitely, I mean, inevitably going to decline a bit when you start so well with double hundreds. You do that every week. And he's short of a few runs. Not there, though. Driven it through the offside for 4. It was full and doesn't even bother running. Hits it out to the aeroplane wing stand, away to our left-hand side at the Radcliffe Road end. 66 for 2, and he's one behind Sibley now. It's 17-18.
I think that might be his 8th ball as well. I said 12. Glorious from Joe Root. Perfect extra cover drive, foot to the pitch of the ball. None of this sort of flickiness we were talking about. Fantastic shot from the skipper. That'll just, you feel that he's been searching for it a little bit in this innings, hasn't it? And that might just get him into his rhythm, that shot.
Bumrah moves into bowl to Root, and Root, Sibley wants a single, Root doesn't. It goes out to the left of cover. There might have been one there, but it would have been a tight one. They decided against it. So England stay on 66 for 2 with Sibley 18 and Root on 17.
It's on Root's recent home form. I mentioned he hadn't scored a century at home since the Oval Test against India 3 years ago. He's had 25 innings in England since then, and that was his only home Test 100 in his last 22 tests since the Headingley Test against West Indies in 2017. Prior to that, he'd never gone more than 8 innings in England without scoring a century. So but a decline in recent years.
Every 8 innings he gets a century.
But it was better than that up until 2017, and since then just won in 39 before today.
Right, Sibley back on strike, and Shami shuffling into bowl to him. Another one of those good leaves from Sibley where Pant was taking that well down the leg side. It was a ball outside the off stump though, curving back in. And one thing that Sibley has done well today is left on length as much as line.
Yeah.
There's been 2 or 3 that have gone over the stumps, over off stump.
Well, that's his game, isn't it? You know, that's his game. Anything outside off stump, know where your off stump is. And I'm not going to get lured in because I can't really play shots through the offside, so I'm not going to get tempted or have a nibble at one and then knock it away through the leg side. Sorry, Andy.
Pavilion end. Shami goes into bowl to Sibley, and Sibley gets a ball fractionally outside the off stump. He stands up and plays defensively, blocking it back up the offside of the pitch, and there is no run.
Before lunch, Sibley faced 67 balls and left 30 of them. So, judicious.
But how many times, have you made a note of how many times you've beaten in that opening session? Or is that too difficult to
7.
tell? Have you got that in the stats?
This is all of the.
He's got his calculator out.
Why is that? Why did you need a...
Nine times.
Nine.
Oh, no.
Beaten 9 times.
Oh, a bit of... I get it, yeah.
Shami bowls to Sibley, and Sibley's caught at mid-wicket. Short mid-wicket, he's falling over, and he spooned a catch away into the onside. And he goes for 18, and Shami gets India's 3rd wicket. It looked a really tame dismissal. Sibley has to drag himself away. Played it straight to the man.
Oh. I don't think he can quite believe it. He's walking off looking at his bat. As I say, it was a straightest delivery, but we were talking about sort of the areas where Sibley likes to score, and that was, you know, one of his areas there. And I think he might have sort of almost got a leading edge. And it just sort of lollipopped to the man on the drive. He's a little bit closer than mid-wicket, isn't he?
Yeah.
But it just powder sort of puffed there. Nothing, couldn't have got the middle of the bat at all, and it was all... It was a bit of a strange dismissal.
It was a really odd one.
Yeah.
It just looked so soft.
Yeah.
How on earth did that happen? It was one of those, wasn't it?
No, and India didn't particularly sort of, you know, jump up and down like they usually do. They just sort of went, oh, well, there you go, he's gone. But disappointment for Sibley. All that hard work in that first session, and it counts for nothing now as he's walking back. But India is delighted with that.
66 for 3, and Johnny Bairstow is on his way and getting a good round of applause as well. Yeah, listen to that, a real ovation for Bairstow.
Yeah.
You know, at number 5, just trying to remember the last time Bairstow batted for England at 5. You're probably going to tell me it wasn't that long ago, but he did have that spell at 3 recently. He's batted 7, 6, 5, 3.
All over.
Any others? There might be.
Open.
Obviously it was in white ball cricket.
I think Moeen Ali holds the record for all the...
Yeah.
I think he's had to go at most spots.
I think one of the things about that Sibley dismissal, he was falling over a bit, but it was one of those you'd expect. I mean, it was almost a ball in his area of strength,
yes,
wasn't it?
Exactly. And that's why he was looking at his bat. I think he might have just turned the wrists a little too early on it. I mean, it wasn't a huge leading edge, but it was sort of a third of the bat edge, and it just sort of plopped up in the air.
KL Rahul would never have taken an easier catch. It was virtually undroppable. It was that tame, the dismissal. Yeah. So Bairstow's out there, 66 for 3.
The last time he batted 5 was in the Oval Test against Australia in 2019, and all he's played 31 innings at 5, averaging 27 compared with 37 at 6 and 38 at 7.
Well, I think he's only going to play one way, Johnny. I think he's going to get himself in and then look to be aggressive.
Well, I've seen him smelting it in the 100.
Yeah, I think he'll just have a peep and then look to get on with it.
Here is Shami going into bowl to Bairstow. Bairstow gets a ball outside the off stump, which he allows to go through. So his last first-class innings
was at
Andy. Sorry, I thought
India.
Yeah, well, he
came back from walking his dog.
That's right. And
we were at the Oval, Brad. We were
down at the Oval, yeah, and it was not pretty, was it? He came and went pretty quickly.
I think it was first ball and second ball or something.
It was first ball in the second innings at Ahmedabad. He had a pair in the first of the 2 tests at Ahmedabad.
Yeah.
Here's Shami going into bowl to him, and Bairstow angles that away, and there's his first run. Plays it to the right of gully. Rahane can't get onto it. It's tied up by Jadeja going from point. So Bairstow is underway, and England are 67 for 3.
He made 28 in the first innings in Ahmedabad, so that was the only one of the 4 innings in the India series in which he scored a run. He batted quite nicely in Sri Lanka without making 50, but scores 47, 35 not out, 28 and 29 as England won that series. Then he had a break and rather lost his rhythm.
Has he did he get a cap? Did he get his 75th cap or something?
Yeah, he did this morning. Today. Yeah. 75th Test match.
Yeah.
That was the applause that we heard out there this morning.
Yeah.
Here's Shami going into bowl to Root, and Root plays a nice looking defensive shot, solid defensive shot out into the offside. But Shami, a successful over for him. Sibley out for 18 from ultimately, was it 69 balls?
70 balls,
70 balls.
With 2 fours.
Yeah. It's so frustrating. It must be for him. You've done that.
Yeah.
Those hard yards this morning.
Well,
it was tough at times, wasn't it, this morning?
That's why there has been a little bit of talk about Dom Sibley, because you haven't really gone anywhere. Now I know that he's chewed up some balls and he's got that shine off the new ball, which is his job and what have you. But you feel that you're always in the game when Dom Sibley's still there batting in a funny sort of way.
Because he hasn't taken the game away
exactly,
from you.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. So you can bat. He can bat for a session, and he's still only got 15. So you sort of go, well, okay, we'll go and get him out after lunch, and it hasn't hurt us.
So really, at lunch, you sort of want him to be 34 not out.
Well, perhaps
something like that.
Yeah, putting some pressure back on the bowlers.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can sort of dig yourself into a hole a bit.
Yeah, and the other way of looking at it, which is the way the England dressing room, the coach Chris Silverwood has been looking at it for a while.
You set the platform.
Here's Bumrah going into bowl to Bairstow, and that's one of those big in-duckers. Bairstow tries to flick it away, misses, taken by Pant, diving away to his left. One of those little booming in-swingers that we see from Bumrah from time to time. 67 for 3. The other way of looking at it is you wear down the bowlers,
yes,
and then the stroke makers come in and flay a tired bowling attack.
Yeah, don't mind that. I don't mind that either. So, but they've got to make up their mind, haven't they, a little bit on how they sort of want to do that. If that's the way they want to do it, I can understand that as well. But I think you've got to be able to go through the gears a bit.
Yeah. Bairstow on 1, waits for Bumrah. That's down the leg side off the pad. This is going for 4 somethings. I think it's 4 leg byes. It's gone to the rope now. Yeah, 4 leg byes. Signalled by umpire Kettleborough. So that's 2 big in-swingers from Bumrah to Bairstow. The previous ball just flicked the pad, and there was a good stop by Pant. That one took a firm chunk of the thigh pad and went away very quickly. No chance for Pant there. So 2 in-swingers.
What do you reckon now? The old 3-card trick? Can't be. Can it? You reckon you're going for another in-swinger?
Don't know, that's
No, I mean, you reckon you're going for the outswinger? I'm going for another inning.
71 for 3. This is Bumrah to bowl to Bairstow, and there it was the away one. But it started wide enough for Bairstow to leave it.
The old 3-card trick, still knocking around, is it? That hasn't moved on.
Out.
Quick, slow. Yeah. That's what I used to do. I used to go in even numbers and odd numbers. Sometimes, 2, 4, 6, 1, 3, 1, 3, 5.
2 slips in the gully for Bairstow. There's a short mid-wicket in for him as well. 3 on the onside, effectively inside a circle. Bumrah bowls to Bairstow, solid looking defensive shot. Goes out towards mid-off.
Yeah, 3 on the leg side. Well, 4 on the leg side, including fine leg. So looking to bowl wicket to wicket with that occasional one that's just, trying to get the outside edge.
Before today, Bumrah in Test cricket bowled 15 balls to Bairstow and got him out twice for just 5 runs.
Crowd getting going, as you can hear, after lunch. A big crowd in at Trent Bridge. The first 4 days sold out.
Lovely. Good to see.
Perfect weather as well. Here is Bumrah to bowl to Bairstow. It's quite full. Bairstow deep in his crease, then coming forward, tiptoeing forward in defence. Plays it up towards mid-on, and there's no run. There are a few empty seats around the ground, but it may well be there are people who had tickets had to isolate.
Pinged,
yeah, possibly.
Pingdemic.
But there's an atmosphere. And we talk about we become used to it actually, but the India players haven't. They played in front of very a few people this year. There was that time in Ahmedabad where people did turn up to watch, didn't there? A big crowd for one of the games.
Oh yeah, then
it sort of tailed off a bit. So nice for them as well to play in front of a crowd. Bumrah bowls. Bairstow plays that almost in crab-like fashion up towards mid-on. And there's no run. It's the end of the over. 71 for 3. Route 17 Bairstow. One more from you Toughers, and then it will be Jonathan Agnew.
Yeah, just got their noses in front with that very soft, strange dismissal, as we were mentioning, from Dom Sibley. Just getting a bit too far over, and perhaps might have just seamed back on him, but seamed the other way and hit the outside edge, but just sort of lollipopped into that position at short mid-wicket. So the two experienced England batsmen out in the middle have just got a little bit of work to do, patching it up. You don't want to lose another couple here. You want to get a bit of a partnership together. Naggers, old boy. Oh, is it? Just twice I've done, yeah.
I managed to get in time this time. Getting used to all the wiring again. So, 71 for 3. Fascinating contest, this.
Yeah, nip and tuck.
Root waits for Shami, who bowls to him, is forward, pushing that defensively to wide mid-off, who's quite tight. And, you know, isn't it a strange game in that Shami bowled so beautifully for well over an hour this morning, beat the bat and beat the bat and beat the bat and got nothing.
Yeah.
And then he picks up a wicket with that sort of dinking shot to short mid-wicket.
Strange,
do you remember that position we called last year? We called it Sibley. Actually, because he kept us tapping the ball there, and so comes in, bowls to Sibley, he plays it to the leg side, it's fielded at Sibley, and there's no run. So what he's done, he's just poked it straight to the man
at Sibley.
Yeah, he's Sibley's caught Sibley. In comes Shami, bowls, and Root turns that away off his pads. Going to get one here. That rolls away out to deep square leg. Root playing with more fluency now. 18 not out. Bairstow 1.
So what was, sorry, what was your shepherd's pie contest all about? I've been waiting all session.
I know you have. I'm sorry. It started last year, the inaugural beaver pie competition, and I got nil point, not a single point.
Oh right.
Even my wife voted against me.
Oh no! So you all have to make a shepherd's pie, do you?
Yeah, we got a few friends together and have a shepherd's pie. Shami wider of the crease bowls, and that's pushed away down into to the gully, and there's no run. So last night's guests were the Roots, as in parents, obviously not Joe, but Matt and Helen.
Yeah.
Stuart Broad's mother and stepfather.
Oh, you're moving in high circles.
A couple of friends of ours, from the Vale.
And you all make a shepherd's pie.
Peter Wright from Gunnermore. So what do you do? You make your own shepherd's pie.
Lamb, I hope.
Well, mine was, I thought, quite a cunning mixture. There's a lot of pressure on, no points, you know?
Pressure's on.
Oh, it was on.
Felt like England's top 3.
In comes Shami, bowls. Oh, and that's almost popped up into that leg side as well. His hands going well in front of his pad there, the weight, and coming up and doing a bit of gardening there to see if that's the pitch's fault. So, yeah, there is pressure. And so I went for, this year, having failed last, I went for a brisket and a lamb shoulder combo, slow cooked for 7 hours.
Oh wow! Oh, well, that must have been amazing.
Made it the usual sort of ragu.
Yeah.
With a couple of added extras.
Carrots.
Had carrots.
Yeah, peas.
No, didn't have peas.
Oh, didn't have peas on the side.
Not in the pie. No. Here's Shami again, bowling outside the off stump. There's no stroke. No, a couple of cunning ingredients.
Yeah.
Were truffle oil.
Oh, I'm not a fan. Yeah, okay.
Give a bit of the taste.
Yeah.
And the controversial one.
Anchovies.
No, my wife can't eat fishy stuff. Tabasco.
Oh, just to give it a pep.
Just a little.
Just a little tweak.
So the scores on the doors was that actually there were 3 of us on the same points. Winners.
What did you have to do?
Well, so I've let myself down. Here comes Shami, moves in, bowls, and that's turned away out towards deep mid wicket. 1 run there, it's full. Picks up 1.
What did you decide?
So, well, our trouble is I had a go at the head judge. Who was
never do that.
Carol Broad, and you don't mess around with Carol Broad. She's a teacher, and she had a great reputation at her school as sort of dealing with the awkward kids, you know. So they deducted a point. So that was that, and there was a bit of other nonsense going on, and Helen Root ended up the winner. But she put some rather interesting relish in hers.
Yes. Gentlemen's.
Was it Gentleman's Relish or was it another?
Well, Henderson's
Relish.
There are other
Northern and
relishes.
Sheffield.
Strong. Yeah, Northern and Strong it says. So that went in. That one. That was quite a big production. A lot of cheese on hers. So the judges all wore blindfolds.
Oh yes, done it properly.
All blindfolds.
Bit of red wine.
I'd purchased those from a well-known adult site, shall we say. So they looked a bit unusual. And I had to be honest, they came sort of, what they call things when you buy, a bundle, isn't it? So I did discard what the other items that came in these bundles. In comes Bumrah and Bowles, turned away out towards mid-wicket, and there's no run. They look torturous. So anyway, so I threw those away, and thankfully they came in a plain brown envelope. So Andy, the postman, wasn't embarrassed. So these blindfolds went on, so they didn't know whose they were. So they're eating blind. And it was very exciting. It was a good combination. It ended at 10 o'clock, so it was early nights all round.
Lovely.
And there we are. It's the highlight. If anyone who lives in my village will have seen, possibly, or heard. You know our friend the Samosa Wallah, who fired his tuk-tuk up. Right,
oh,
okay.
lovely.
In comes Bumrah, Bowles very full, swinging away, played out to cover. So he fires his tuk-tuk up, makes his amazing samosas.
Yes, I had one
Melton
today.
Mode.
Yeah.
He's got a proper tuk-tuk.
Yeah.
He's here, he's an Indian supporter.
Yeah.
Kieran, good lad. So anyway, you can hear him coming.
Yeah.
Up he comes and screams to a halt. We live next door to the pubs. There are a few people out in the pub. And I said to Matt Root, go and have a look. Well, next thing, I'm looking out the window. Matt Root's driving this tuk-tuk around, doing wheelies outside the pub.
Oh, right.
Yeah, in Kieran's tuk-tuk.
You've had a right old go last night.
Well, it was fun. So that was the highlight of the evening, I think. 73 for 3, then goes Bumrah, Bowles, and that's patiently played away out towards mid-wicket. But someone told Joe, because he had a little good go at me this morning.
Oh, good dear.
Yeah, so it's good fun.
Yes.
The shepherd's pie. How is it that 4 shepherd's pies
Yeah, it tastes so different.
taste so different?
Yes, I know, strange.
Tastes so different. I'm quite happy with a bit of Marmite in the potato.
Oh,
It's a bit of Marmite.
A few little secrets going
Well,
on.
yeah, not everyone's taste. I get that. They take you a bit of a punt.
Yeah.
But taken very seriously. With Carol Broaders,
Yeah.
head judge, whew,
Stern.
pretty ruthless. At the end, you had to stand up, you had to reveal who you were, what number you were, and you were given all the, all the feedback. This is on the leg stump, flicked away, and it's going to go for 4, but it wasn't far away from square leg. And that will run away, and they'll be, I don't know who's going to go and get that. There's no stewards out there. It's like one of the Indian reserve players there tearing around the boundary to go and throw the ball back. But beautifully played, and whatever Bairstow does, he does the real oomph, doesn't he? I mean, the real bottom-handed to that.
Well, I think it's going to be positive. I think that's the best way, really, for Johnny Bairstow, isn't it? Get yourself in, get yourself to 20 and 30, and then look to put the attack back on the bowlers.
77 for 3. Which positions has he batted in, Andy? I mean, he's virtually gone through the card, hasn't he, Johnny Bairstow?
He's batted everywhere from 3 to 8 in Test cricket.
We were just discussing what we think Moen's done in.
Has he done him?
Yeah, I think Moen's batted in more positions.
Bumrah again outside the off stump, and there's no stroke this time from Bairstow, who's on 18. I'm quite with Michael Vaughan on this, though. I mean, there's a place here for Moeen, isn't there? I mean, without Stokes,
absolutely.
It would make absolute sense for Moeen to play.
We don't quite know where he what his form is, do we?
No.
With Test cricket, has it been sort of said what he's?
Well, he played that game in India and then
Took
went home.
8 wickets.
Yeah.
And he's 56 wickets in his last 11 tests.
It's bizarre. Because it would just seem like a logical
absolutely.
way of getting a spinner in.
Absolutely.
And he's such a beautiful player. Bumrah bowls, and he's walking into this one. Bairstow plays it firmly, bit of a crunch there to mid-on.
Moeen's batted everywhere from 1 to 9.
1 to 9.
Brilliant.
1 to 9.
I know, that is versatile.
When did he? I don't remember. Who did he open against?
He opened in the UAE
Right.
against Pakistan in the series at the end of 2015.
Yeah. So really fiddling around the batting order to get more bowlers in, presumably. Was it get the spinners in and so on?
I think Adil Rashid played in that game as well, didn't he? Yeah.
That was his debut series. Actually.
Helicopter skims overhead. I haven't told you about my Spitfire, have I?
No.
Oh,
What, have you been in one?
no, well, nearly.
Oh,
Yeah.
go on.
Well, so fly my little thing from here, Tollerton.
Yes.
Aeroplane. I'm taking Bumble off to Skegness, which is where we take the dog.
Yes, that's
go and
right.
run on the beach. So I'm over Coningsby on my way, footling along in my little aeroplane.
Yeah.
And suddenly I get a radio transmission from Coningsby. In comes Shami, bowls, and that's pushed away. It's fielded there at backward point by Jadeja, who's given up his floppy hat now. He's got his cap on. And so they gave my call sign and said, the Spitfire, 10 o'clock, 100 feet above.
Wow.
I thought, oh, okay. It was a little bit misty.
Yeah.
And I heard her say, Spitfire, there's traffic at your 10 o'clock, 100 feet below.
Oh.
I thought, ooh. So I looked out at my 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm not going to see much in there. And suddenly I hear, I have the traffic, from the Spitfire man. So I thought, well, good, well, he's seen me then. So, in comes Shami, over the wicket, bowls down the leg side. And they do nothing with that. Well, suddenly, out of this sort of... And you can see on the radar, he's just done a little left turn. And he's gone to shoot me down. I mean, it's like a scene from Battle of Britain.
Wow.
The Spitfire coming straight at me at 2,500 feet.
Wow.
And if you look at the radar, he got within 30 feet.
That sounds close.
It was close. And I thought, oh. So I was just trundling along. I thought, I'm not going to move here.
No.
And it just went whoom, round the back.
Wow.
And appeared on my left wing. And I said on the radio, where's my camera? Where's my camera? In comes Shami, bowls again, and that's steered down to the fine gully this time. And there's no run. And the chap said, you never have one when you want one. Cheerio. And off he went.
Cheerio,
into the
cheerio.
distance. Yeah. Oh, it's incredible. It was a silver one. There's only one silver Spitfire.
Amazing.
So if you're listening, Mr. Smith, I enjoyed it.
Wow.
I've tracked down who it was. You can track it through the thing, you know. Yeah. So
What was he doing up there? A show or something?
Well, I don't know. He was enjoying himself. But it was just like the Battle of Britain scene when you see that Spitfire. You know,
Coming
it was
out,
had it. It was amazing. We didn't have any guns, thankfully.
No.
77 for 3. In comes Shami again and bowls, and Root comes forward, plays towards the offside there, but again finds that man at shortwood wicket who's being kept quite busy.
Oh, well, you've been very busy.
Oh, it was lovely.
haven't you?
That was one of those moments.
Races,
It was so
Shepherd's
exhilarating.
Pie.
So exhilarating.
Spitfires at 10 o'clock.
Yeah. Incredible. You can track it. You can track it on the flight radar, and you can see it. And you see that little left turn, and it was amazing.
Oh, I've enjoyed that.
Yeah. Thank you, Tuffers. There you go. I'll give you my recipe for my almost winning shepherd's pie. 77 for 3. Shami from the pavilion end comes in, bowls, that thumps into Root's pad, rolls away into the leg side, and there's no run there. The crowd getting a bit rowdy, a bit restless, enjoying the contest, I'm sure, but also enjoying just being out and watching cricket and being part of a crowd and able to make a bit of noise. So they're really building up, and we're not even halfway through the afternoon yet. 77 for 3. Root on 18. He's over his bat, and Shami pauses for a moment. It's 2 slips and quite a fine gully now. He runs in with the sun behind some cloud and bowls short. Root's pulled this, runs from here down towards long leg, who runs round well, feels actually very well there off balance. It's Bumrah, who also throws in a beautiful return right beside the bails, and Root takes 1 run. So it's 78 for 3. Root on 19, Johnny Bairstow on 6, and I've got Alistair Cook next to me. Afternoon, sir.
Afternoon, how are you?
I'm very well.
You weren't talking about your planes again, were you?
Yes. Well, the Spitfire moment is fantastic.
Again?
Have I told you that already?
Yeah, you keep telling me.
Have I?
It's that in the car parking spot is all I've had for the last 3 weeks.
Well, you asked for that. You asked for that. But anyway, this is it's a real contest, isn't it? But a Sibley wicket. How does that happen?
I don't know. I was just talking on the TV about the stat about the lowest score back in the morning session as an opener he had since, was it Chris Smith in Pakistan in 1984 got
Really?
12 not out. He was 18 not out. So we're trying to do the maths and work out how much it would be by tea and stuff. And then, very unlike Don Sibley, to his one main scoring shot, chipped to mid-wicket.
Just poked it there, didn't he? There's a lost the balance by the look of it. 78 for 3. Root's on strike. This is outside the off-stump. Siraj into the attack now. Took 1 wicket earlier on. 1 for 22. Bustling seam bowler. Delivers at about 85, 87 miles an hour.
It's been a good start for Joe Root, though, hasn't he? You know,
Yes.
I thought he was fighting a bit of a technique change in the New Zealand series. Been quite rigid. I always like when Joe Root's batting well is the rhythm of his movements back and forth. He always looks like he had the rhythm in his batting, and without putting the mockers on him at 19, I straight away from ball one he's had that rhythm to his batting.
Siraj bowls to him and he's forward now. He's not very happy with that shot. Now he plays it again with that nice definitive forward defensive stroke. Why do you change your technique? Why do batsmen change? I mean, it seems that as a non-batsman in my case, I only had one technique, wasn't very good.
Standard square leg.
I only had one. So why do you tinker? Why do you change things? What makes you want to have to change the way you... Well, particularly, it's in the sort of setting up, really, isn't it? Here's Siraj again bowling outside the off-stump. He lets it go. Why do you do it?
Because you're searching to get better. So you're always wanting to get better. You have this inner drive on you to think, I want to get better and better. And actually you get to a certain stage in your career where you realise what you've got is as good as you can be, and you keep hammering that. You do all the little tinkering like Root has done, like I did, and then you actually get to a point of, after all the tinkering, actually say, no, this is what works for me. And then you kind of get a bit of a moment of clarity, and you just stick with that, and you end up just then having to play the ball.
Siraj again, and Root defensively plays down to back. Good point. I mean, I understand you're losing rhythm, getting a bit trapped in places and awkward positions, and then working to get that out. But there often seems such little tiny things anyway that's changed.
But it would have been like that forward defence, which he wasn't very happy with. That would nag and bother Joe Root.
Right.
He was like, I could play that better.
Yes.
So he tries to keep working on trying to improve that. And actually, sometimes you just need to, you are going to fall over the odd one. And
Siraj again bowls to him. Now that's a much better. He'll be happy with that one.
Yeah.
Well on the front foot, bat and pad, and the ball runs away down into gully.
And actually, sometimes you look at your greatest innings when you play it as well as you can play. You forget you probably played and missed in your first, 30 balls 15 times or something. You got dropped on 10, and you kind of forget about it. You look at the highlights, you look at your falls on the computer, and you think, I just want to get back to that. But you don't often watch every innings ball by ball by ball. You like the glory bits, and you can get a little bit distracted with trying to be perfect. But actually, there's no such thing as a perfect technique or innings.
Now he's driven that beautifully. Very full from Siraj, and that's an effortless stroke from Root. Played a couple of beautiful drives. Aesthetically, maybe the one before that he played, maybe 20 minutes or so ago, was even better, but this one went a bit squarer. But it was a lovely stroke, absolutely perfectly in position, and away it goes. So 82 for 3. Isha's in the queue, I think, to come in here. And Cookie, I'll leave you to dwell on that perhaps a little bit more. 82 for 3. Root 23. Johnny Bairstow has 6.
Yeah, it's a cracking shot, and I love when I'm watching Joe Root bat. I've mentioned this word 5 minutes ago. It's the rhythm. It's the rhythm of his shots and his movement. His great ability when he's playing as well as he can. I always think that innings at Old Trafford, he got that 200 against Pakistan. Yeah, that was as well as he can play. He was so hard to bowl that, stop him scoring, because he always scores behind point, between third slip, and point, just running the ball through that gap. And he had so much time, and that shot was very similar to that. I know it was a crunching cover drive. He had the rhythm of it, and it just looked so easy.
Here comes Shami, bowling to Bairstow, who's backing across, allowing one to pass outside the off stump through to Rishabh Pant. Glorious afternoon here in Trent Bridge. Lovely buzz around the ground. Probably, we were talking about this, feels like more English support than Indian support. A lot of blue dotted around and some Indian flags hung over the barriers over to our left in the stand over there. But in general, it feels predominantly for England as Shami comes in on an angle, past the stumps to Bairstow, who's struck on the thigh pad, looking to turn it to the leg side. A good leg delivery on around middle stump. It pops up to the offside. No run is taken.
I think we'll see a bit of a change of the crowd as the series develops, and also as when India bats, they tend to come out a little bit. I think they much prefer watching Kohli bat, Rahane bat, Sharma bat than they do
KL Rahul, Rishabh Pant.
Than the guys bowl. they definitely prefer 4s and 6s the wickets, I think.
There's a deep backwards square and a fine leg in position as Shami charges into Bairstow, who inside edges onto the pad, and again it just trickles out into the offside. No run. Another good length delivery on off stump from Shami. Sort of hurtles in as he turns now to walk back to the top of his mark. Yellow towel protruding from the back of his trousers. Nice breeze flowing in here at the moment. It's nice and warm as flags are blowing, not vigorously in the distance, quite gentle as Shami receives the ball from mid-on. Sets off now, chasing his shadow past the umpire to Bairstow, who plays very straight back down the pitch. Shami kicks the ball nonchalantly to mid-wicket. No run.
I like that, chasing his shadow. I like that. It's good.
It's quite a small shadow at the moment. There's sun quite high up in the sky.
He's skiddy, isn't he, Sharp? He's very skiddy. Like, he's not a tall man, but when he seems to... what surprises me that he can't bowl that fuller length. He still bowls that backer length, even though he is... You know, what's he, 6 foot? Is he 6 foot? I don't know. Probably just under.
Just under, yeah.
You know, he can't bowl that fuller length. You'd have thought in those subcontinent conditions that he would have to bowl there, but actually he's fine. His natural length is that back of the length.
He's bowling to 2 slips in a gully as he bowls now. Sebasu drives and stopped by Shami's left hand. It goes onto his foot and then he kicks it away as Bairstow manages to come through for 1. And the ball gets picked up by cover. It's 2 for 3, Bairstow to 6. But it is interesting because early, certainly you do want to bowl full, especially when there was a green tinge, red new cherry in your hand. Whereas now, does he need to sort of pull it back a little bit?
Yeah, it's not doing as much, is it? It's definitely a better time to bat as the ball's now 34 overs old.
Root, back and across, struck on the back leg. Extra bounce in the surface here at Trent Bridge as it goes to point, no run. 83 for 3 at the end of the over then. Root on 23, Bairstow 7.
Yeah, you know, as you've seen by a couple of these Joe Root cover drives, if you do bowl that fuller length, you are risking certainly risking a boundary, and certainly with the less movement, it's easier for the batsman to do it.
The 4 that Joe Root sumptuously hit off Mohammad Siraj's last ball of his previous over made him England's highest run scorer in all formats, combining tests, one days and T20s. He's just overtaken you, Alistair. 15,737 runs you scored. Joe Root now 15,739. It's in all formats around.
If only you played more limited overs cricket. T20, especially off that T20 100.
That was 2008, that was a long time ago. Oh, well done, Joe Root. Well done, Joe Root. Another record he's going to break on his merry way.
Yeah, it's quite incredible, really, what he's achieved. Quite understated is the England skipper, but he always churns them out.
He still needs almost 19,000 to overtake Sachin Tendulkar.
What about Virat? How close is...
Kohli's on 22,875. Sachin's way up in front, 34,357.
Bairstow on strike, opens up and defends. A good length ball from Mohammad Siraj. 30 years old is Joe Root, so he's got time.
Not sure he's getting the 19,000,
no.
is he?
Not sure about that. 100 hundreds.
I believe that.
No, it's quite incredible how many one-day internationals Sachin Tendulkar played.
Yeah. I think there was one time where we played a one-day series against India and he had taken more wickets than all our bowlers put together.
As Bairstow defends and pats the ball to mid-on. No run.
Yeah, he took over 150 wickets in one-day international cricket, about 45 or so in Test cricket.
Yeah.
So I think he has 200 Test wickets. International wickets in all formats. But you don't really think.
And he bowled everything, didn't he? He bowled away
spin,
swing,
little
in
dibbly
swing,
doubles. Yeah.
wrist spin. Sun is a left arm quick. As Siraj pushes away now to Bairstow, who covers his off stump once more. He's been very disciplined in that area, Alistair.
He has, and again, he's got a slightly different technique what we've seen in a lot of the white ball stuff where he stays a little leg side, and I think that probably caused a lot of his LBW dismissals and bowl dismissals in Test match cricket. The ball coming back in with the red ball doing more than the white ball, but here he's definitely gone across more to off stump in terms of going back and across his trigger movement, keeping his leading leg out the way to allow that bat to come through.
Leaves one outside the off stump this time from Mohammad Siraj. 2 slips in a gully. He's got in place there. The Indian quick. Lots of space on the offside. Just a point in a wideish mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, and a deep backwards square. Man down at fine leg, but it's actually a really short boundary down to that side of the ground as Siraj pushes away, builds up into his run-up. Bowls and Bairstow again, solid defence, leaning forward, slightly bent knees, he covers the ball, head right over it. Have you been getting into the Olympics, Alistair?
Yeah, I have, but not maybe as much this time as for whatever reason. I don't know why. Maybe it happens. I don't know why. It should be on at breakfast, and when you get up, it's all on. But just struggled to watch it. I suppose the other times, like Rio, when they're behind you when you're in, it's all on in the evenings, isn't it? Then, but it's been good, isn't it? Amazing effort from Great Britain.
As Bairstow ducks underneath a bouncer from Siraj at the end of the over. 83 for 3, Root 23, Bairstow 7. Yeah.
I enjoyed listening to Aggers do a question.
Yeah.
I do have to enjoy. I do giggle my way through that as he's trying to explain all about his horses.
Yeah, there's some extraordinary stories as well that have been coming out of the games. Sky Brown today, the 13-year-old skateboarder, just looked incredible. I mean, I managed to catch that because they were showing it again on...
Can you skateboard?
No.
I thought you were going to suddenly say, I used to do a lot of skateboarding.
She was outstanding, really. Here comes Shardul Thakur then from the pavilion end. What were you going to say, Andy?
Me and skateboards have made an amicable agreement never to come within each other's reach. She was only the second youngest on the podium.
Yeah, 13. The silver medalist was 12.
No. Really?
Yeah. Extraordinary.
Something on Johnny Bairstow's batting against balls that are going on to hit the stumps. I'll come to after this ball from Thakur. 2 slips in a gully in position for Root, who allows it to go but sort of has to stretch backwards with that extra bounce, making sure he doesn't get any bat anywhere near it. We've seen India bowling quite full and straight at Bairstow, targeting his stumps, and he's had a real vulnerability against balls that would have gone on to hit the stumps since the start of 2017. 31 times he's been out with balls that would have hit the stumps, 20 bowled, 11 LBW, and he averages 9.2 against balls going on to hit the stumps, which is the lowest of the 70 players who faced 250 balls. I'll finish it, sorry, too long a start.
Root drives, kind of a woody sound, doesn't climb it as it heads out to wideish mid-off, no run.
There's 70 players in Test cricket batting in the top 7, so I'm comparing them against top and middle order batters, have faced 250 balls that would have gone on to hit their stumps since the start of 2017. His average against those balls is the worst. The best, Kane Williamson, who against balls that would have gone on to hit the stumps, averages 64. He's only been out 6 times to balls that would have gone on to hit the stumps in the last 4
So he's the
years.
best,
Yeah.
Kane Williamson. Root lunges forwards and allows it to go through to punt. Just under 80 miles an hour, that one from Shardul Thakur. Not the quickest in this bowling attack.
Alistair, when you're playing with Johnny Bairstow towards the end of your career, was there anything in his game that changed that made him more vulnerable to the straighter ball, do you think?
No, well, I do think him going up to the top of the order in one-day cricket had a massive influence on his technique, because he was so successful when he went, well, he has been, as soon as he went an opener, because you have to, the bowlers bowl straighter.
Thakur bowls, Root edges, falls in front of gully. Diving away to his right, KL Rahul. And Brought him into play there, did Shardul Thakur, looking to drive through the cover region. A bit of shape on offer, movement off the pitch, away from Joe Root. It doesn't carry.
He wasn't quite there to drive. It was a good bit of bowling, drawing Joe Root into the shot. As you say, he's not quick. Just under 80 miles an hour. He just got sort of hit on just where the stickers of Joe Root's bat is. I'm surprised they didn't carry. You know, he's gone pretty hard at that. For that not to carry to gully. A little bit of luck. Rooty.
Here comes Thakur again to Root, who drives straight to mid-off. No run.
Going back to Johnny Betts, the one-day stuff definitely. I reckon he went. When did he go up? You're going to do this now, aren't you? I'll see you typing into your computer. Innings before he opened. You should do it. Innings before he opened in the one-day stuff as a Test match player to innings after, and that will be the big change. To staying slightly leg side. You know, the white ball. I've just gone back to hitting the white ball for Essex, and it doesn't do half as much as the red ball. And as soon as that movement comes in when you're staying leg side, you've got to be so good to continually hit the ball.
Root leaves one outside the off stump. Another rising delivery at the end of the over. 83 for 3. Root 23. Bairstow 7.
Please don't tell me you found it already.
No, I was actually looking up something else about India's lines. In the morning session, England left 37% of the balls they faced. Since lunch, just 22%. So they have challenged the batsmen. And obviously, with Sibley being out, who's looking to leave more balls, so it's like a different way of playing. Collis that maybe bowled a little tighter since lunch.
It was a noticeable difference, though, from Johnny Bairstow, because when he first came into Test cricket, he was brilliant through the leg side. Anything on his pads, anything on the stumps, he was putting away or defending nicely. But you're right, he was getting leg side of the ball and looking to pummel everything through that offside region. But definitely here today, he's looked to cover that off stump and change things up a bit. Here comes a change then from Radcliffe Road end. First look at spin, Ravi Jadeja in.
Just quickly back on Johnny Bairstow, obviously he has changed his technique to do the back and across to get himself more into line. But obviously, I think he's fighting a little bit in terms of it's not natural, and that's understandable because he's played no red ball cricket since last year, and so no red ball cricket in England to work on this at all. So he's finding a way, and that's what England need. If he can guts it out.
Here comes Jadeja to Bairstow then, who leans forwards and covers the ball on the off stump.
I can see why they went Jadeja, because of the right-handers. There are lots of right-handers for England, not many left-handers. Obviously, Rory Burns at the top of the order.
Bairstow crouches. This time opens the face to open it up to cover, but Kohli is running around to his left to collect the ball. No run.
Certainly containing. He'll contain well, but he doesn't spin it a huge amount, does he, Jadeja? And in England, if you don't put those revs on it doesn't do a huge amount.
Well, that's been signalled a no ball. Automatic referrals on the TV, of course, these days, as Bairstow is pushing forwards and back into his crease and looking to work it through mid-wicket, but plays it quite straight. Jadeja runs to fetch the ball. So a ring field on the offside. There's a slip and a short leg. Man out at deep backwards square as Jadeja is in again to Bairstow, who plays it just in front of point off the front foot again, just opening the face. No run.
When you're facing Jadeja, certainly as a right-hander, beginning of your innings in England, he isn't going to beat you pretty much on the outside, so he's going to look for the LBW and bowled, so you've got to definitely play for that, not to get beaten on the inside.
Bairstow pats the ball back down the pitch as Kohli tosses the ball to Jadeja, having walked in to collect it. Jadeja with his shirt out, covering his trousers, got a couple of grass stains already as the left armour is through to Bairstow, who again is forward lunging and placing the ball towards point. No run.
Well, who's got a best? Sorry, and I'm going to keep asking questions. Ashwin's batting compared to Jadeja's batting? I thought they had pretty similar records.
Yeah, as Bairstow is back looking to cut, misses the bat as it goes through to punt. Slightly shorter there from Jadeja. Bairstow looking to take advantage, but doesn't. End of the over then. 84 for 3. Root 23. And Bairstow is on 7. I think Ashwin actually in the last year or so has had the better average. But Jadeja in the last couple of years has been averaging over 45, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
You feel as if he's played for his batting. You know, they picked Jadeja for his batting.
He's a batting all-rounder in their eyes. But you just think with Ashwin, it's a big call to leave him out.
It is. He's a world-class spinner, and I remember when I first faced him in England, you know, he didn't feel as if he was going to beat you on the outside with his off spin. He went away and worked on it, and you know, he spun his off spinner really big, and then he became really hard work. Jadeja, I don't know, again, his record in England I don't think is that good, actually. I think he's a steady left armer.
Root on the back foot, guiding to gully, no run off Shardul Thakur.
But clearly in the subcontinent he's as hard a bowler to bowl because he bowls quick. I think
you're right, actually.
He bowls quick, wicket to wicket. It's very hard to play when it turns, and I think Jadeja in England, I know there's a lot of right-handers, but I don't think England will mind actually having Jadeja. Yes, he's going to be hard work, but to score off too much, but I don't think he shouldn't in the first innings, first 3 or 4 days of an England Test match, like spin you out, where you always feel that Ashwin could.
The stocky shape of Shardul Thakur approaches the crease, strikes Root on the pads. He turns to appeal, but no signal is given from Michael Gough. In fact, he's unmoved, and then Joe Root has a look at his bat, so probably an inside edge, but that was very straight from Thakur. We'll have a look now on the replay. Pitches just outside the off stump, and quite clearly inside edge as he looks to zone in or middle and off.
Jadeja's batting in recent years has been superb in Test cricket since the start of 2017. He's averaging 47 in Test cricket.
As Root drives but almost caresses the ball in front of point, off the front foot out to the deep point boundary. Cover has come around to collect the ball and throw it in as he comes back for 2 to 25 then. Joe Root 86 for 3.
This is his 28th Test in that time. Ashwin, by contrast, having batted productively for India in the early part of his career, his returns have declined since the start of 2017, averaging 19, and his century against England earlier in the year was his only half century in his last 40 Test innings.
Root this time driving with the ball on the up to cover, no run.
Yeah, so he's definitely playing for his batting, isn't he?
Yeah.
Which makes sense in these conditions. If it's something tomorrow, the cloud does roll in, you'd imagine it's going to be hard.
Yeah, and I wonder if they were thinking of that, because there is some rain due in the next couple of days. But I just wonder as well, they would have turned up and seen the green surface. I think they would have been aware that it was dry underneath, but playing 2 spinners as Thakur is in bowling wide of the off stump, Root allowing it to go. 86 for 3 then England into the 38th over here today at Trent Bridge. Day 1 of this 5-match series. England winning the toss and electing to bat first. The lineup, if you're just joining us: Burns, Sibley and Crawley. Root at 4, Bairstow in at the moment at 5. Lawrence to come, Joss Buttler, Sam Curran. Ollie Robinson makes his return. Stuart Broad and James Anderson as Thakur has passed the stumps to Root on his toes, guiding it to cover. He runs around to his left to take the ball, and they sprint through for 1. Root to 26, end of the over 87 for 3, Bairstow on 7. A few decisions they would have had to have made in the absence of Ben Stokes, and just getting that balance. I mean, being able to have Sam Curran is definitely a big plus. No Chris Wokes, of course. He's injured. He's coming back from a side strain. We spoke to him actually during one of the 100 TV games, and he said he wasn't far off. So maybe he might feature later on in this series. We don't know. But leaving out that extra pace in Mark Wood, and no Jack Leach. So a few overs from Joe Root, I'm sure, at some point.
Yeah, I think that the stats, not sort of stats, but in Trent Bridge, it's where you bowl, not how fast you bowl, isn't it? It's certainly a wicket here where if you're bowling the top of off stump, challenging that front foot, it doesn't often get that flat unless the sun's out with the weather. So actually, pace here, this game, if you go to the Oval or Lords and it gets the sun's out, they'll need the extra pace. I think it's definitely give Mark Wood will play, certainly in this series. It's just a bit horses for courses for England in this game.
Left arm of Jadeja in, bowls slow outside the off stump. Root drives to cover, no run. That green tinge disappearing from the pitch at the moment. Another no ball bowled from Jadeja. The captain saying, get your foot behind the line as he bowls to Root, who drives past point, and it's a quick outfield. This might rate away all the way to the boundary. It does. And the cheers of Root go out all around the ground as he picks up another 4. Root to 30, 92 for 3.
Brilliant shot from Joe Root. And trying to overhit it, just use Jadeja's pace. I spoke about how quickly Jadeja can bowl. The ability to bowl quick and still have some revs on it, but they're just a little bit wider. A bit wide for Jadeja. You want him to bowl wicket to wicket. Don't want him to be leaving the stumps too much, and just Joe Root took full advantage of a lovely caress cover drive.
Root forward press back in his crease. That was a lot quicker. Nearly did him there. With that one that just skids on Jadeja. He manages to get back down in time, no run.
Yeah, he doesn't want to leave the stumps today. He wants to be there or thereabouts every time. As an England batsman, we spoke about don't get beaten on the inside, and Joe Root almost did.
57 miles an hour, that one. This one a lot slower as Root is able to get back into his crease and push the ball to the offside. Alistair Cook's going to pop off as Jadeja bowls to Root, who's in the crease and working it out to deep backward square. They're pushing for 2. Johnny Bairstow halfway down the pitch, and he dives to get back in. The throw comes in to Jadeja at the non-striker's end, the wrong end that Shami threw to from the boundary, because Bairstow was stranded. Root getting deep into his crease, working at leg side. He slips. Does Root. Bairstow sprinting to get down to his end, sent back, and he just about makes it as Jadeja throws to the keeper's end. 93 for 3. Root's on 31, Bairstow on 7. Welcome, Michael. Bit of drama.
Yeah, good afternoon. Yeah, that's the last thing England need is the teams take a drinks break. Yeah, if Shami had thrown it to Rishabh Pant's end, Johnny Bairstow would have been a long way short.
Well, I believe we can bring in Deep Dasgupta, who is watching this test match for joining us at Lord's. Deep, great to have you with us. Firstly, how are you?
Thank you so much. I'm good, thank you.
And what have you made of things so far?
It's been very, very interesting. It's still a 50-50 game. The wicket very first up in this session kind of pushed India a little bit ahead in the game, but then both Bairstow and Joe Root are looking really good.
It's been it was a good start for India straight after the lunch break, removing Dom Sibley. Yeah. But India have bowled some disciplined lines and lengths, haven't they?
Yeah, I guess this has been really good test match cricket, and as I mentioned before, I think the Indian bowlers were very disciplined. Obviously the batters as well, they were really, really good. So I think it's been really interesting and good test match cricket so far. And this is what you want to see, right? A proper contest between bat and ball.
And has the pitch sort of changed at all in what you've seen so far?
Not much. You know what? I was a little surprised. I was actually thinking of bringing in Jadeja in the very first start just to see. I mean, as they say, if it seems, it'll spin as well. So I was just wondering maybe Virat could have tried a couple of overs from Jadeja in the first start itself, just to see if there's any moisture, if the ball's stopping a bit. When you see so much of grass, generally the bounce is a little spongy. That can help the spinners as well. So yeah, maybe just a couple of overs from Jadeja. If it works, it was seamless to fall back on.
It's definitely changed an appearance for us here at the ground. Definitely not as green as it was this morning, Michael.
No, I'm just looking actually. Joe Root's got the physio out there. Not too sure quite what's wrong with him. He's up on his feet. It looks like he was just when you see the physio manoeuvre a knee, just test a knee out to make sure it's fine. He's fine, the physio's walking up, but sometimes this can be a warning sign to the opposition. Joe Root's had a few niggles in his time as a a batter, and he generally goes on to get a few.
Right. Well, I think he actually slipped in that run-out opportunity, looking to turn and go. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it. Anyway, a few more words from you, Michael, and then it will be Dan Norcross.
Yeah, I think that may have been the case, that he slipped. I have seen Joe have a few issues with his back in his time. A bit like Gordon Greenidge. Zoltz, he likes to just get everyone thinking about the injury before you know it. Double centuries. Let's hope from an England perspective that happens. Beautiful day now, it's glorious. Sun's bearing down on Trent Bridge. Nice atmosphere. A little bit of singing been going on. I think the Barmy Army are in the stand to our left in full voice. And there's a number of Indian fans. I would say not as many as normal, Dan, but there's still a good gathering of Indian supporters in the ground in their blue Indian kits.
Well, there were enough for me to know when I nipped downstairs very quickly after the first ball was bowled, and I walked out onto the concourse, and there was a loud enough noise for me to know that Rory Burns was out, and as it was a distinctly different noise from had it been Rory Burns scoring runs. So I think that's usually a pretty good gauge, isn't it? Now, England have scored 32 runs since lunch. They scored 61 runs, am I right, before lunch? So they're going on at a steady, if relatively glacial pace, 38.4 overs. Joe Root, the one player to be really fluent today, 31 from 55. We've got 2 more balls of Ravi Jadeja's over to be bowled, his second over. England have gone in without a spinner. And Andy, have you given your spin stats, your Trent Bridge spin stats?
I did, but I'm more than happy to do it again.
Jadeja in, short, cut up, missed. Through to the keeper, and Jadeja does what Jadeja always does in these moments. He makes the commentator think that someone's out by running 8 yards to his left with his hands in the air, and then he puts them on his head to indicate that it was really close but not out.
It's a really bad shot. He's done that twice now, Johnny Bairstow. Just too close to him to be playing that cut shot through the offside.
Here's Jadeja to complete this over that began some time ago, and the ball's driven up to mid-on. It's fielded by KL Rahul. That is the end of the overs, 93 for 3. He's playing for some turn that's not there, isn't he?
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, Andy, yes.
Since 2010 in Test match cricket on this ground, spinners collectively have averaged 49, seamers 26. It's the worst Test ground in England for spin in that time, and the 5th worst in the world out of 43 grounds that have hosted at least 5 tests.
And we were trying to work out the other 4 over breakfast. We got to Perth. It was the first one we came up with. I think that was right. And was I right? I had a hunch about a New Zealand ground.
2 New Zealand grounds.
Auckland?
No. Hagley Oval, Christchurch, and Seddon Park in Hamilton.
Hamilton, yes.
Perth is the 4th worst. The worst for spinners has been Centurion.
Centurion, yes. Feels right, doesn't it? Maybe you could check out Graham Swan's record here as Shardul Thakur is into the attack. Outside the off stump, the ball drifts slowly away off the pitch. A little bit of movement.
I've got some good numbers for you, Dan.
Have you?
Yes.
You know I like them, don't
So
you?
spinners in England since 2018.
Yes.
June and July, there's been 9 test matches, of which 33 wickets have been taken by spin at an average of 43.3. August and September, since 2018, we've had 13 tests. There's been 102 wickets at an average of 34.
Which is sort of the opposite of what people imagine, isn't it, in a way? Thakur is in, and that's driven by Root. It's a short extra cover, there's no run. I mean, one of the reasons why that's a very interesting stat is people maybe sort of glazing over as we say these things, but in England we talk a lot about how difficult it is for spinners. How are you going to develop spinners if they're only bowling in April and May and August, September? But it seems that June and July is a time when they don't really want to be bowling. They go for a lot of runs then, and they do a little bit better.
Well,
to get to August and September.
I guess it's why it's surprising that England have gone again with no spinner.
Here is Thakur once more, and Root plays away from his body and guides the ball down to the deep third boundary for 4. He was in some control there. I think he was in control of the shot as he played it, but it was a slightly risky shot away from his body, just pushing in the gap between where sort of second and fourth slip, he's almost a gully perhaps.
There's been that many Ashes series, Dan, over the last 15 years. What was the series where Ian Bell played that shot continuously?
Oh, yes.
Graham Swan had a field day and he got 300s in the series. Ian Bell
2013 was it?
Yeah, was that
Yeah, it was 2013.
yeah.
3 centuries, 2 other 50s.
Because that was a beautiful shot. He knew exactly what he was doing there, Joe Root. He knows where the gap is. He just kind of let the ball come, played it late, just glided it down to that vacant space.
Next delivery, he leaves alone outside the off stump. Thakur is getting just that little bit of shape into the keeper's gloves. 97 for 3, Root has 35. He did, didn't he? Bell played that over and over again. I think it drove the Aussies
Whole
mad,
series.
didn't it? Yeah. And they never bothered putting a fielder down there.
It was almost after the first game. You probably need a fielder down there. And when he did it, you probably need a fielder down there. By the end of the series that they'd lost, maybe he needed a fielder down there.
I think I use the phrase vacant third man boundary more often than hello honey, I'm home. Thakur is in, driven in the air a little bit, no timing, out into the offside, picked up in the covers. There's no runs. 97 for 3.
Well, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that this partnership is massive. 2 senior pros, Bairstow into his 75th Test match. All right, he's been in and out, but India will feel if they can break this one. You got Lawrence next, Butler.
Then the bowlers.
Yeah.
Albeit a slightly strengthened tail England have got here by having Curran and Robinson at 8 and 9. We saw Robinson back very well in his only Test match at Lords, but that was a very good attack as well, as is this. As Thakur is in. Very wide space slip cordon, and Root pushes into that gully region. Yeah, there are 3 slips under gully, but the 3 slips are spread over around 5, really. End of the over. 97 for 3, Root 35.
This is
Bairstow 7.
This is Johnny Bairstow's first class innings of the summer, isn't it, Andy? Has that ever happened before? That someone has, I know, potentially the first test of the summer, it may time could be your first class innings, but surely not in August.
In August it does seem odd, doesn't it?
It can't have ever happened.
Well, I mean, I saw somebody lamenting the fact that there have been no Test matches in July this year, and that felt to them rather rare.
Yeah. The world seems a bit odd and weird at the minute, doesn't it?
It is a little. We're having to recalibrate, aren't we?
Yeah, I think so.
And but we're infinitely adaptable here in Test Match Special. As the extravagantly bearded Jadeja with floppy hair, he's got the full package as Jadeja, is in around the wickets to Bairstow, who goes back and cuts, and he gets that down through, backward point, all the way to the boundary for 4. England's 100 comes up, and that shot he was in control of. He's been trying to play that shot with a straight bat, and he's missed it a couple of times here. He played an authentic back cut, and he's got it down to the boundary for 4. It's a rapturous applause. He moves to double figures. He goes to 11. England 101 for 3.
Yeah, that's a better shot to Jadeja because of the pace. As you mentioned, Dan, just glide it, just use the pace. What'll happen now, that backward point will go even finer, so there's more of a gap in front of square for just a nice defence to get a quite easy single.
Got a slip in and a forward short leg. Jadeja is in, loopy slightly this time, pushed into the offside, no run. 58 miles an hour, but it felt less flat than a normal Jadeja delivery. It's interesting what you do as a spinner after you've been hit for 4. He's in once more, and forward comes Bairstow, pushed into space in the offside. Square of the wicket, can't get a run for it though. I remember Phil Tufnell saying, when a fast bowler's been hit for 4, he can sort of gaze at the batter and sort of go back and stick it up his nose. But as a bowler, we're going to bowl it even slower. I'm going to bowl it even slower at you. Here is Jadeja, and that's full and on off stump and played with an angled bat to backward point.
Yeah, day one of a Test match, quite green tinge to the pitch. The role of the finger spinner really is to hold an end, get through some overs. If you can nick 1 or 2 wickets, that's a bonus, but just try and give the seamers a bit of rest.
Here comes Jadeja off just 3 or 4 paces, and forward comes Bairstow, pushes back up the wicket, no run. The crowd becoming increasingly bibulous as the day goes on. The hum that we had earlier has now become more of the occasional lament and attempt at a chant. It's not quite caught on yet. Here comes Jadeja, and forward comes Bairstow. Pushes out square of the wicket in the offside, and again there's no run. 101 for 3, just that boundary off it. Root 35, Bairstow 11. I know, Andy, you're an enormous fan of Jadeja. I mean, you and I might be, curiously enough, the two biggest fans of Jadeja in the world. And given how fanatical certain parts of the Indian fandom can be, that's saying something. But we share an opinion that he should never be dropped from Indian teams wherever they're playing. That, you know, he was playing in the Antarctic, you'd have him because...
Well, it'd run someone out.
Yeah, right, exactly. He gives you absolutely everything, doesn't he? I mean, we're seeing today that he can bowl, if need be, on a first-day pitch because he can keep it tight, won't give anything away. You can bat him in the top 6 perfectly comfortably. And as you say, in the field, he's lightning quick.
He's Indians' greatest ever fielder, isn't he?
I'd say so. Tucker is in, start a new over, and Root drives. Can't quite find the gap in the offside, and it's picked up by Jadeja. In the covers, there's no run. This is a really unusual slip cordon we can see here. You do not see this very often, and the infuriation for Indian fans will be if the ball goes between these 4 slips. There are 4 of them, and they are very, very widely spaced. If they put their arms out like you used to do in school, you know, can you touch somebody else's fingers? They'd get nowhere near them.
Well, there shouldn't be under any kind of doubt of who to go for it. So if the ball's in your eyesight zone, go for it.
Here comes Tucker, and that's driven thick inside edge, and the ball rolls up to mid-on. Slightly false shot from Root there. There's no run. But, I mean, would you advocate... It is unusual to see this. Is this more sort of a modern vogue, is it?
Yeah, I think it's the Virat vogue. I think not many other teams go for this kind of spread-out theory. As long as he's making another change here, he's going to put a short drive. So there's a short-ish extra cover on the catch. Jadeja's going to go to cover point just behind square.
So the gully's moved out. We've lost a gully. We've got 3 slips, but they're occupying space where 5 may be. That's Tucker. Bowls and beats the bat. An absolute beauty. That has hit the pitch and gone away from Root like a quick leg break through to the keeper. Punt. And it beat him all ends up. No run. 101 for 3.
Yeah, that's a peach. That's lovely bowling. Late movement. Carried through nicely.
I don't know how you do play that one, actually, because I think Root's played the shot.
You play it exactly like Joe just played it. You play the ball as late as you can, the line of the ball, and you just pray that you miss it.
Right. Next delivery, playing away from his body, and he's got that in the gap. That's nicely played by Root. He'll pick up 2 for it. Jadeja runs back to do the fielding. Having moved to point, he had to run down towards backward point as Root steered that past gully and between gully and point for 2. 103 for 3, Root to 37.
He's a gazelle in the field, isn't he, Jadeja? He's just wonderful to watch. The way that he gallops after that, I mean, he's almost made that into a run-out chance with how fast he got to that, and he slid onto the grass, picked up the ball in his left hand, and before he'd kind of flipped his kind of body up into the ground, it released the ball over the top of the stumps.
It's gone a little bit more behind point now as Root drives square of the wicket. It's going to run away to the boundary. Jadeja's chasing after it again. I don't think he's going to get there. He won't. And Root moves into the 40s with that. Again, a ball slightly wide. He went after it away from his body, but he got the full face of the bat on it and has driven it to the point boundary for 4. At the moment, Root's making Jadeja move from one side to the other at the moment. 107 for 3, Root to 41 from 66.
Yeah, well, if you have to look what's happened in the over, that Virat's changed his field 2 or 3 times, and I don't know, I mean, he does have a tendency, Virat, to follow the ball a little bit.
He does, doesn't he? We've got an enormous amount of space on the onside, but Tucker's gone nowhere near the onside yet, nowhere near the pads of Root. His next delivery is well wide of off stump, left alone, through to the keeper. And there's no run. End of the over. 107 for 3. Root 41. Bairstow 11.
Well, the fielder out on the mid-wicket boundary is just a complete waste because you're not expecting Thakur to bowl bouncers or short balls. He'd have been better off bringing that fielder up, having him at mid-wicket, or even bringing him across to the offside and pat the offside and bring your fine leg up to square leg on the boundary or square leg, and so that's the channel we're looking to bowl, just outside off stump, bringing the batter forward. It's like we're going to have another bowling change. It's like Siraj is going to come back into the attack.
Right, if he's coming into the attack, then I'm going to bring Simon Mann into the attack after Andy Zaltzman.
Well, just further to our Jadeja discussion, he's one of only 3 cricketers who've had a 25 test sequence in which they've averaged over 50 with the ball and over 50 with the bat and under 25 with the ball. Sean Pollock and Imran Khan, the only 2 players to have done that in test history, apart from Ravi Jadeja, who did it between November 2016 and November 2019.
So 107 for 3. A bit of a look at Jadeja. Not much there for him. Back to pace. Seam, swing, whatever.
Like changing ends.
Could be, yeah. I mean, in terms of spin threat, England would probably prefer to see Jadeja at the other end rather than Ashwin, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I think so. I think there are many reasons why they went with Jadeja. Lots of right-handers in the batting lineup. Obviously, he's batting, he's fielding.
Here is Siraj bowling to Bairstow. He's been cautious so far. 11 not out, plays that firmly up towards mid-on. 11 from 45 balls, and generally he scores quicker than this at the start of his innings.
That song that seems to echo around most sporting venues. Do you think it'll ever get to the stage where we need another song that replaces that song?
I would say in about a minute's time. If that. Here is Siraj bowling. Short pulled away by Bairstow. Out towards deep back with square leg on the ground. They got out there very quickly to Shami. It's only a single. It's a controlled pull shot from Bairstow. 1 more run. He goes to 12. 108 for 3.
I get the feeling that this partnership's at that stage where they're feeling that they're in and starting to play with a bit more confidence. Just got to be careful on this kind of wicket. You can quite easily see 2 or 3 wickets fall quite quickly if you play a reckless stroke and just think you can just play through the line and length. Still a pitch that you've got to be very careful on.
Lawrence, Butler, Curran to come for England. Siraj goes in and bowls to Root, goes back and clips that away down towards deep back with square leg again. Shami comes in and noticeable that those 2 pieces of fielding, he's underarmed both of them back to Pant rather than throw them in. Just test that shoulder out. Siraj is in his 9th over, 1 for 26. Shami today has been extremely economical.
I think someone's just down the lager, Simon. Sounds like he's gone and produced the magic. Big cheer.
Siraj, meanwhile, from the Ratcliffe Road end, goes in and bowls. That's nicely played by Bairstow. They're going to pinch a single towards 4th slip. It was half stopped to 4th slip. Bairstow was looking to access the deep 3rd boundary there, guiding it away. It was a controlled stroke, but it was half stopped by Rahane to his left-hand side. And so it's only a single.
Don't you think, I mean, the first morning of the first test of any series, you always get a sense that everyone's nervous.
Yeah.
The players, the coaches, the crowd, and no one dared do anything. It's like, just get through the first session. As soon as the afternoon comes, right, it's just a game of cricket, let's get on with it.
Yeah, we're into that sort of mode now. Siraj bowls, angling back into Root. Root covers up and plays defensively into the onside. Picked up at straight mid-wicket, and there's no run. Root is on 42, Bairstow 13. I think one of the things about this series is no one knew what to expect. I mean, you look at both sides, you feel, I mean, I know we all did our predictions on the BBC Sport website. You can go there and read them. And I mean, you felt India looked strong coming into this series, and England had problems, and I felt similarly as well. I don't think many of us went for an England win. There are a few drawn series. Aggar's completely chickened out. Here is another in-ducker from Siraj. It's played away by Root. He said it's impossible to predict because a COVID case on either side changes everything.
So he just sat on the fence.
He just completely sat on the fence, yeah.
I look at this Indian side with what they have. They've obviously won in Australia recently with lots of changes to their side. They've got a great deal of depth in their seam bowling department. 2 wonderful spinners, terrific batters. With an England side without Ben Stokes, Chris Woakes looks like missing the first 2 tests. No Jofra Archer, a lot of young inexperienced batters in the England team. This Indian side should be favourites, in my view, to win this series. Not saying they will, but they've disappointed me. The India, the last 2 times they've been here, I felt similarly that they should compete and really push the England side. I think they're a better team now than they were 2 years ago or 3 years ago, the last time that they played here. And England possibly aren't quite as good at the minute because of the absences of some of the players. So if you're Virat Kohli, you'd expect to win a series like this.
Taka goes into bowl to Bairstow. Bairstow comes forward, plays that quietly away into the offside.
But as we saw in the World Test Match Championship final, when the ball just swings a little bit, and that's all that happened in that Test Match Championship final, their batting lineup is vulnerable.
I think that's the one thing coming into the series that sort of gave England some hope, is that there is a vulnerability around India's batting in English conditions. And the other thing, we've got 2 Test matches in September as well. I mean, Old Trafford Test match pushing towards the middle of September.
It'd be roasting it.
It could be. Well, it might well be. You never quite predict the weather. September's normally decent, but you never know. Outside the off stump, nothing from Bairstow there. So
it was only this north-south divide in terms of weather. It was only a week ago that I was at Lord's for a 100 game, completely washed out. And as I got in my car 10 miles up the road, I listened to the radio commentary from Manchester for the women's and the men's game in possibly 80-degree heat.
Yeah, London's been deluged in the last couple of weeks. They're talking about other competitions. Royal London commentary on the BBC Sport website now, every ball of every game. Here is Taka bowling outside the off stump. There's no stroke from Bairstow through to Pant, and the 100 double header in the 100 Birmingham Phoenix against Oval Invincibles today. BBC Sport website, 3:25 men's game, 5 live at 7 tonight, and highlights of today's play, the Test match 7 o'clock, BBC 2 as well. So much cricket around. It's great to get this Test series underway. It's been like a strange summer for the devotees of Test match cricket, red ball cricket. Here it is, Taka bowling outside of Bairstow's off stump. Bairstow lifts the bat and lets her go through.
I just look at this field. I honestly think this leg side field is a real poor one. For a bowler like Thakur who's bowling 80 miles an hour, he's not going to be bowling short, or shouldn't be. They could quite easily bring a fielder up to square leg, or they could actually bring fine leg up to square leg and put another fielder on the offside.
Well, he's got 3 slips of gully, backward point, extra cover, mid-on, deep forward square leg, almost a deep mid-wicket really, and a fine leg. Shardul Taka goes in and bowls, and Bairstow clips his way down towards fine leg. It disappears beneath us. It's picked up by Siraj.
Johnny fell over.
And they go for a single, probably just as well as he'd come back for 2 there. He'd been run out by half the length of the pitch, because that was a brilliant piece of fielding from Siraj, who bulleted the throw in right by the bails to punt. 111 for 3.
Very disciplined from Johnny Bairstow so far. 13 from his first 50 balls. That's the fewest he's had after 50 balls of a Test innings since October 2015. The 50th time since then that he's played at least 50 balls.
Yeah. He's giving himself a chance here. 14 not out, non-striker's end. Root faces, and Root drives past the bowler up towards straight mid-on. Shami picks up, hurls the ball at stumps, misses. Root ran with the shot, saw there was a single there very early on, and takes it and moves to 44, and England up to 112 for 3. Root's played nicely through the offside today. He's driven well. He's used that shot where he opens the face and tries to run it behind square on the offside as well. That's how he got off the mark early on, and he's looking good.
Yeah, his techniques look really solid today. I thought against New Zealand, he had so big a trigger movement. He just didn't seem to have the balance. It just looks a little bit stiller today. He's got less of a trigger movement. He's still got that movement to get him in a position before the ball's released, but it's not as big as it was.
Siraj bowls and Root drives. This time he doesn't time it back to the bowler, and there's no run. Just a correction on Root's score. He's on 43. I think I added the run.
Well, he's got that many. It doesn't matter. Leading run scorer now across all formats.
He is, yeah. He's gone past Sir Alistair Cook today. T20, one-day internationals, and Test match cricket. More runs than anybody else for England. He's going to take some catching as well by somebody in the future, isn't he?
Who are the runners and riders, you reckon, who could get close?
Probably someone who might not even be playing at the moment. Root gets one outside the off stump, it comes back into him, he lets it go, and it wasn't far away from his off stump.
Ollie Pope, potentially.
Yeah.
He's a rider, is he?
You've got to be playing one-day internationals as well as tests, haven't you?
Yeah,
really?
Almost. You've got to play all three formats.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get stacks of runs in T20, do you not?
But you can nip away 1,000.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, but it's those other formats, one-day internationals and obviously tests, that give you the opportunity to score all those runs. That one, the Root left didn't carry through to the keeper, bounced in front of punt. We're in the 45th over, so halfway through the day's play. Root pushes forward and plays defensively into the offside, and there's no run, and it's 3:10.
Bit of an acceleration from England the last few overs. They scored 23 in the first 12 overs after lunch, 18 of them off the bat, then 28 in the previous 7 before this over. So 4 and over in the last half hour or so.
Yeah, it has felt like an attritional day today. India trying to work England over with those 4 pace bowlers, something they didn't have in that World Test Championship final. They did feel that 1 pace bowler short. Siraj bowls to Root, that's on the pads, clipped away between the 2 fielders on the leg side boundary, but it's only going to be a single. Tucker gets round to his left hand side in front of, I think is it still called the newsstand, that one down there? Is it getting a bit older now? It's all like the seashell stand.
See, my belief is that I think they might be waiting to name it after somebody.
Do you?
Yeah, I've got a sneaky feeling that someone with blonde hair, quite tall,
playing in this game,
got a few wickets against Australia at this venue. Could see it on top there, couldn't you?
Possible. It's well populated today, that newsstand down there. Here's Siraj bowling short. Oh, it flies through to Pant there, so ducking underneath it. Not minded to take it on and take on those 2 fielders in front of the newsstand. One of them is Mohammad Shami. In a conversation with one of the India backroom staff down there. Actually, both the fielders behind square are doing so. It's almost as though they've got their wingmen there chatting away, encouraging them. 113 for 3 England, so it has been hard work. We're in the 45th over of the day. Not much more than 2 runs per over. Bairstow waits for 2 slips in the gully in, and he flicks off his hip down towards fine leg. Fielder this time has to go to his right hand side. Bairstow's quick, and he's back for 2. He knew very early on there. There's the prospect of the second. Tucker says, what can I do down there? I couldn't stop him, he's fast between the wickets. And so 2 more runs to the total. 115 for 3. Out today, Burns 0, Sibley 18, out after lunch for 18, and Crawley on review for 27. A thin edge onto his back pad. It went through to the keeper, Pant. India not quite sure about whether to review it. Kohli just failed with the review, and you could see him agonising about it. He wasn't sure, and absolutely delighted when they saw that little feather on the inside edge. It felt like a bit of a punt that from India, but it worked for them. Vic Marks is here.
Well, it was quite a brave punt because they just had a review before that which had not borne fruit. So to review almost the next ball and get it right was a relief to him. To have lost 2 in 2 balls was beyond carelessness. This is an important little stand, isn't it?
They came together at 66, these 2.
Yeah, and Bairstow's batted really well, I think, but not like the Bairstow we remember. You know, he's been watchful, he's been very sound in defence, and there have been no frills at all, no extravagant shots. But he's looked pretty comfortable. And you feel this is the pair that could sway the match, give England a decent first innings score if they can keep going.
Here's Bumrah then from the pavilion end, bowls to Root. Root fiddles the ball away into the offside towards backward point, where it's picked up by Jadeja. Seems to be everywhere today. It's an important fielder for India, their best fielder, live wire in the field. 115 for 3. It's lovely to have you with us today, Victor. I've not heard you on the airways for quite a long time, although I was watching the first BBC televised match of the 100. I was sitting on my sofa, and I was watching it, and Isha said, "Right, let's go to Vic."
Yes, I was watching that too. I knew she didn't mean me there.
And Bumrah goes in, bowls to Root, and Root plays defensively. It runs down towards the gully, and there's no run. I sat up, I thought, hold on a minute, what's going on here?
Didn't expect to see him there.
Didn't expect it. And then when they did cut to that said Vic, it was not you.
Just remind me who it was.
It was
Vic Hope, I think.
Vicky Hope, yeah. Yeah, she was doing extra bits around the match.
Yeah.
Presenters. Anyway, I was watching with Alex, my wife. We both of us sort of sat up. Hold on, what's Vic doing there? But alas,
I could have,
There is Bumrah bowling to Root, stands up and forces that away into the offside towards backward point, and there's no run.
Well, I could have adopted my Eeyore personality.
Yeah. How much do they pay him to be on?
Oh, that's what you immediately thought. Yeah. Okay. No, I don't think I was there, but I was keeping an eye on the television.
Well, it's nice to know you're open-minded, Victor. Have a look at it.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far.
Bumrah from the pavilion end. There's plenty of blue sky above. Lovely cricket watching day today. Not baking hot, but warm. The sun not always on full beam either. Here's Bumrah bowling, guided away by Root down into the gully region. Picked up by Rahane.
Doesn't he play late? I mean, most of us wouldn't dare play that ball so late. And it was off the middle of the bat, but it went down to gully. It was so soft in his soft hands. Came down on it late. It's been quite an understated innings, Root, but he scored much faster than anyone else today.
Crawley looked good while he was there, but it was demanding. It's been demanding all day. Really hard-fought contest. Bumrah goes in. Bowls to Root, plays that uppishly through forward square leg. There is a short mid-wicket in, but it was away to his right-hand side. And there is the 50 partnership.
Yeah. Well, there's genuine applause, folks. It's not canned, it's real.
116 for 3. Almost as if the crowd are batting with them, willing them on. They know how important this partnership is in the context of the match, and who knows the series as well.
In the context of the match, definitely. In the context of Johnny Bairstow's Test career, without wanting to be melodramatic, it could be, if he plays a significant innings here, there's a new lease of life on the horizon, perhaps. It's early days yet, though.
Yeah, Bairstow 16, not out, is a long way to go, but he's been there for 54 balls. Here is Bumrah bowling one that cuts back with the angle as well. Bairstow almost leaves that as much on length as line. Quite close to that off stump. And again, Pant taking it well down the leg side, if you see what I mean, but after the ball had gone past the off stump. 116 for 3 at the end of Bumrah's comeback over. He's 11 overs, 1 for 25. Root 45 and Bairstow on 16.
The 50 partnership came up in 18 overs and 2 balls. It's the 12th time that Bairstow and Root have added 50 or more in Test cricket. They've converted 7 of the previous 11 into century partnerships, including the last 4 they've made, 2 of which were in the winter in Sri Lanka.
Well, they obviously used to batting with one another, not only for England but Yorkshire as well.
Bairstow's career is... the batting career for England has sort of gone downhill the further he was pushed up the order. I mean, his most successful period was when he was batting at 7. That's his best average. And they sort of wanted... I mean, firstly he was sort of bumped up to paper over the cracks elsewhere. Here is Siraj bowling full on the pads of Root, big inducker, but hits Root on the pad, goes down fine. They run through for a leg bye, or trot through for a leg bye. 117 for 3. I mean, it was going quite well with Bairstow as wicket-keeper batsman.
It was, but I think he had a bit of a drought later on as a batsman, wicket-keeper, or wicket-keeper batsman. But there has also been the underlying issue that England have been striving to resolve: who bats in that top 3.
Yeah. Siraj into bowl to Bairstow. Bairstow plays a strange looking shot there, quite forceful, goes in the air up towards mid-on for a while.
Just could have been sort of leading edge territory, but he managed to check himself at the end. So, in one sense, he might feel that he's been a victim of other people's shortcomings, i.e., they can't find anyone to bat at 3.
I think there's definitely been an element of that. There's a leg trap at the moment. There's a deepish leg gully, short mid-wicket. There's a mid-on as well. Deep forward square leg, fine leg. So 5-4 onside field, full. Bairstow drive, doesn't beat the short mid-wicket. Rahul away to his right-hand side there, stops it. So this is a change of tactic here from India. A slip and a gully, or a slip and a...
They're going to bowl straight. They're going to bowl straight at him, because he does get bowled quite a lot. And they're going to protect that onside and frustrate him a bit too. Today has been a very good example of why it's quite a good idea not to bat in the top 3.
Siraj bowls to Bairstow. Bairstow drives him for 4 through extra cover. Ball hits the rope now, but it was always going to be 4 once he found the gap. It was full, and Bairstow dealt with it. Not much protection, as we've been mentioning, on that offside. And Siraj served up a nice juicy one there for Bairstow.
And he's put it away in the most classical sort of fashion, economy, not trying to hit it too hard. Checked, follow through, 4 runs.
121 for 3. Bairstow to 20 in the partnership to 55 after Burns was out for 0, Sibley for 18 and Crawley for 27. Same field. Siraj tries again, bowls to Bairstow, drives down the ground for 4. Up through straight mid-on. Nice meaty sound there off the bat of Bairstow. Nicely timed, bit of power in that one. Vic mentioned the previous one, sort of check drive. That one had a bit more oomph in it.
Yeah, not much of a follow-through though, but it was perfectly timed. And I think that's a slightly more difficult shot to play. That was a fullish length ball, but it was dead straight, and he hit it dead straight for mid-on's left.
Changing the field now. There's a short mid-on, silly mid-on has gone in, almost in Root's eye line as the non-striker. There's a short mid-wicket, silly mid-on, and it's going to be a wideish mid-on, I think. Wait for Shardul Thakur to go back to his fielding position. So they've taken out the leg slip now, the leg gully. And here is Siraj, still with his 5-4 onside field, goes in, bowls to Bairstow, that's full as well, that's clipped through mid-wicket, probably for 2 runs. Shami runs round, slightly stiff-legged, picks it up and lobs in the return. And Bairstow picks up 2, 10 off 3 balls there. Bairstow 26, England 127 for 3, Roots on 45. More from you, Victor, and then until tea, Jonathan Agnew.
We've just overpitched a little bit, and Bairstow has seized upon every delivery. Lovely cover drive, an even better straight drive, and then another full delivery clipped away for 2. He's been very circumspect, very controlled up until now. He's batted really well, defended well, which we don't necessarily associate with Bairstow. But then he's just had a few friendlier deliveries, and he's put them away beautifully. And he's still going at a modest rate by his standards. He's got 26 from 60 balls, but the partnership is just becoming substantial. England can get to tea with just 3 down. Well, you can never feel too comfortable in this game, but they'll be feeling a lot more comfortable. Agus, lovely to see you.
Vic, it's lovely. They flushed you out of deepest, darkest Devon, which is great.
It's not dark in Devon, it's delightful in Devon.
Well, of course it is.
Yeah, well, I came across someone who said, for some reason they said, your mate. They were referring to you.
Oh.
Is he in Tokyo then? I said, well, I don't think so.
Well, supposed to have been.
Yeah.
Yes. I'd have missed this, but I'd have got a show jumping goal today, though. Well, there you go.
Well, someone else might have got the goal.
No, certainly not. Some athlete goes out there and does something, but the commentator gets the goal.
Oh, right.
Did you know that? 127 for 3. We've got Bumrah from the pavilion end coming in and bowling to Joe Root, standing up tall, trying to work that into the leg side, but the ball thumps into his thigh pad and trickles away to be picked up in the leg side. So there's no run heading towards tea, during which we're going to remember Mike Hendrick. Wonderful bowler, lovely character. Played, of course, at Derbyshire for many years before he came here to play for Nottinghamshire. Beautiful rhythmical action, very tall, high action. Hit the seam relentlessly, ball after ball after ball. He was naggingly accurate. Bumrah moves in and bowls. That straightens up a little en route. He plays it carefully into the leg side. And
yeah, he was a great. He just kept hitting. Even if I was in very, very good nick, he'd hit the shoulder of your bat all the time. Just got that extra bit of bounce.
The experts of the time always maintaining that he bowled a little bit too short because how often he beat the bat. But
well, they were talking about that this morning with Shami, but it's very hard to get these bowlers to.
Yeah,
it's not as easy as you think, is it, to bowl fuller and still have the same zip.
Bumrah again. There's 2 slips in a gully. He bowls to Root, who feels for this and plays down into that gully area.
And he wasn't quite a swing bowler. He was more of a hit the seam bowler. Might get that, the so-called shape, but he wasn't looking like you would have been looking to swing the ball. He was looking to get that seam into the surface.
He's a wonderful bowler.
Yeah. And a dry wit.
Yeah.
It was an interesting dressing room, the Derby dressing room of that era.
Fine coach. I mean, he did he umpired as well.
Yeah.
127 for 3. Root on 45 not out. Waits as Bumrah's on his way to him now, shuffling in, and then bowls a very full ball which Root drives. Finds mid-off. Crowd still boisterous. Perhaps increasingly boisterous, actually, if I'm honest. Sort of over there to the left. Trying to get the fielder down there to give him a wave. There you go. He obliges.
We could almost be at Edgbaston.
Well, Trent Bridge and Edgbaston, certainly fancy dress-wise and noise-wise, are very similar. I mean, Edgbaston's a bigger ground, of course. It's more people in it. Bumrah bowls, and Root's hurried. Quick ball, homing in on his pads. Bumrah smiles again. The smile is seldom far from his face. That was 88 miles an hour, just generated from nothing. His wrist goes into strange places, again helping to propel the ball at that speed. Yeah. It's unusual. It's a uniquely unusual bowling action that he has, and there's anything like it.
Well, the approach it must be so disconcerting. He goes back quite a long way, but he walks most of the way in, and then barely gets beyond a trot. But then he generates pace just at the end.
Here he comes again and bowls that very straight arm, and this runs for Root. The ball's gone straight over the stumps, flicking the edge of the bat on the way. Bumrah can't believe it. Punt could get nowhere near it. And there's 4 more to England's captain, who moves to 49. Streaky runs there. 131 for 3.
Well, that was very close to the stumps. Inside edge, went probably over leg stump. Surprised again by pace, but he's got away with it. It's the only streaky boundary he's got so far, to be fair to Root. He's played pretty well today. But he'll be glad still to be there. 1 off his 50 now. And Shami, it's like a little burst of their top bowlers just before tea. Let's get 1 more wicket before tea. Shami's coming on from this end.
So a complete change around then with Bumrah from the far end, Shami from this. Just over 12 minutes to go until the tea break. Now Root, of course, being urged on by his home fans here.
But he's not very far from Sheffield, is he? Here?
Not far from Sheffield. Joe Root of the Trent Rockets is 49 not out. They'll all be singing his name. Shami's on his way. Little towel sticking out of the back of his trousers. There's a full ball that swings. Bairstow has a look at it and allows it to go back, and then he'll report that to Root, who's coming down now out of his crease. A bit of swishing away at the surface there.
There was a time, wasn't there, here at Trent Bridge, where they reckoned it suddenly started swinging more, and people would wonder whether it was to do with the new stands. Somehow, I don't know whether you're the expert on swing.
No, not that expert. It always seemed to swing here when we played here.
Kevin Cooper would swing miles.
Yeah, we got the Trent only. Whether that makes a bit of a microclimate of moisture, I don't know. Then goes Shammy again, an in-swinger this time, but he's put it away out towards mid-wicket. Nice shot there from Bairstow. He just checked the stroke a little. Absolutely making sure, because I don't think they do trust this pitch, that the bounce was going to be right, and they've seen Root try and drive a few into the offside, completely mistime it, and he looked at the pitch and we saw Sibley chip that catch to mid-wicket. Again, he looked very suspiciously at the pitch as he walked off.
Played that well though. He played that late, didn't he? Because he bowled an away swinger, which he left. That was an in swinger, and he waited and watched and hit it in the middle. Sped off his bat.
Shammy, the scuttling run, moves in and bowls an outswinger. Bairstow allows it to go by. So we've had outswinger, in-swinger, outswinger so far.
He must be picking him, because that was not that wide. It was okay as long as it swung away, that one.
Yeah.
It's a brave person who knows which way he's going to swing the ball.
They disguise it so well these days in ways that
you hadn't even thought
used to do. No. And then they've had more time to develop, of course, their skills with central contract and time off, and really work at what they do rather than just sort of relentless playing. 133 for 3. Shammy goes over the wicket and bowls a poor ball, this down the leg side that Bairstow can do nothing with. He's on 28. Driven to prove people wrong always, Johnny Bairstow. It seems to be a sort of mission in life. It's to silence people who say, "Oh, Johnny Bairstow playing again? Really? Why is he batting in that position? Or why this and why that?" And Johnny always takes up very much. Well, he takes it to heart, but also uses it very much as something to drive him on, to motivate. Shammy is there now and bowls the in-swinger, which is driven hard back at him on the bounce. It's a crowd catch, that one, but I don't think too many people fell for it. There's traffic building up on the Loughborough Road just beyond the tavern area here to our right-hand side. Not too threatening clouds. Simon King said in the forecast that we could get a late afternoon shower. It's been the pattern in this part of the world for the last few days. It's a little bit grey over there, up towards East Midlands Airport. Goes Shammy again. Now that's a straight ball. It swings neither away nor in, and it's collected by Panthers. Bairstow again plays no stroke. So Root's on 49. It's 133 for 3. Highlights, of course, on BBC Two this evening. You can watch some very skillful swing bowling and a battling effort by England's batsmen to combat that. It wasn't a 100% nailed on bat first morning, I don't think, but that's what I think Root decided to do.
Yeah, well, I think they all say it's pretty dry out there, don't they?
Yeah.
That's one factor. So it could start to break up a little bit towards the end. And the other thing, of course, is the weather forecast, which had predicted relatively sunny conditions today, with the prospect of some rain over the next couple of days, and batsmen don't like having to go on, go off in humid, wet conditions.
Bumrah goes to Root looking for his 50. He won't get it there. A little flick of the wrists sends the ball to gully. And there's no run. That's what the latest forecast is for tomorrow. It's a dry morning.
Right.
And then sort of increasingly.
So it's not
rainy.
a write-off.
Not a write-off. In fact, it's giving a thunderstorm alert, but at the moment that's showing at about sort of 5 o'clock.
Right.
So there'll be play tomorrow. But it will be under cloudier skies than these. 133 for 3. Wind making the flags twitch at the far end. Coming up behind Bumrah, who bowls a ball that cuts into Root. There's his half century. It's the start of such an important part here of Joe Root's career, one feels, as captain. 10 test matches against India, against Australia, captain absolutely in the limelight, and the pressure that all of that brings to bear. So to start with a score is exactly what he needs. 50 not out from 89 balls. Increasingly fluent, some lovely drives. But he's hungry, and he's got a long way to go yet if he possibly can. Bumrah again moves in, bowls a big high bouncer down the leg side, which Bairstow ignores.
Well, I'm sure you've mentioned it, but I was downstairs briefly, and they were saying that Root has now scored more runs for England than anyone else today. You've been through that.
In all forms?
In all forms. I knew it would have been mentioned. I was just checking its veracity. And now, with Andy nodding, it's clearly true.
It's the scorer's seal of approval, isn't it?
Well, it used to be with Andrew Sanson, I'm sure, and indeed it is with Andy here. It is stamped.
Sun shining, Bumrah again rushes in and bowls, and Bairstow wants a single. They looked up just to check with Root that he was coming. They had that mix-up a few moments ago.
They had, and after that mix-up, it looked like Root was in a bit of trouble, didn't it, for a while? I think he's sort of moving a little bit gingerly.
It's a strange boundary over there, and I just think they're so aware of it being so short now because of that new stand. I wonder if Root had that in his mind when he sent Bairstow back.
Yeah, I think oddly it's the passage of time too. I bet you 5 years ago they just scampered too, come what may.
.135 for 3. There's Bumrah bowling, coming into Root's pad. He's forward there, picks up another single. Jadeja can't pick the ball up cleanly at point, moving to his right. So one more. 136 for 3. Coming towards the end of the 50th over of the innings. And T an over away, I think. Bairstow looks around the field. There is the man out there on the deep square leg boundary. One always assumes he's there for the hook shot. Not necessarily the case.
I think increasingly it's to allow the bowler to bowl straight, if you like. They clip it away so well off middle and leg nowadays.
Bumrah once more. He bowls to Bairstow, drives him beautifully. It was well fielded by Jadeja. Got a nasty bounce there at point. And Bairstow never hits the ball gently. It's always he sort of assaults the ball, really. Oh, we've got a late call for a no ball.
All right, yeah. From the third umpire, of course.
I'm sure there's a better way of communicating that. It catches everyone by surprise. It caught the fielders by surprise there.
They had some kind of honker in the IPL, didn't they?
Yep.
Didn't there have too many honkers in life?
Do you want a honker? You're advocating a honker.
I want a stats honker as well whenever I've got a stat.
Well, that could be arranged, I suppose.
If you really want a klaxon at a test match for a no ball, do you? Bumrah once again moves in, bowls, turned away to mid-wicket. It ends the over at 137 for 3.
You have a little blast of a string quartet on
that'd be nice.
The outfield for a no ball.
Yeah, so a tuba or something.
Joe Root's half century, 89 balls with 9 fours. It's his 70th score of 50 or more for England in Test cricket, 20 of which he's converted into centuries. His 15th 50-plus score against India. He'd gone 10 innings without scoring a half century for England since the third of his 3 large 3-figure scores in the winter. It's the first time in his entire Test career he's gone more than 8 innings without reaching 50. And he's had a curious pattern in his career of starting series very well between 2014 and 2017. Then had a couple of years when those first Test returns tailed off.
He's waiting for Shami now, the last over before tea, and he'll pick up a single too, pushing it away towards cover. The ball's skimming quickly over the used pitches there, practice area, but just the 1 run.
The 4 series England have played this year, he's begun with first innings of the first test, scoring 228 in Sri Lanka, 218 in India, 42 against New Zealand at Lords, and now 52 not out so far today. In his previous 12 first innings of series, he'd scored just 265 runs in total, averaged 22 with 250s. But prior to that, in 13 series, he'd averaged 119 in his first innings of series. So a welcome return to that kind of series beginning form for Root.
Bairstow waits. Shami's on his way. Bowls an in-swinger to him. He's on the pad. Hill flick full wicket. You can hear it. The umpire said not out. Kohli's bustling up from slip. They're going to have a little conference here. The DRS timer is ticking away up on the scoreboard. It's down to 7 seconds.
It's tempting just before tea, isn't it? Just to sort of lift everyone. He's going for
2 seconds to go.
He likes to wait till there's only 2 seconds to go, doesn't he?
He does. It didn't look convinced to me.
TV umpire to director.
I'll be honest, I didn't feel it was out, but it just looked a bit high.
Original decision is not out. It's a fair delivery.
We're way up
so
here.
Can we have
get
a
it
look
wrong.
at front on spin vision, please?
It was the in-swinger, wasn't it?
Yeah. I thought Kohli's had to be a little bit persuaded to take this one. We're having a look.
The height actually doesn't look to be an issue there. That's less.
Can we have a look at ultra edge? It does pass close to the inside edge.
I don't think he hits it though.
It's one of those that flicks the front pad and then cannons on into the back.
Okay.
So
just look back to the
it's looking less
to
good
the side of the bat, please.
It's only the front pad that counts, of course.
Okay, we have a flat line. Roll it through to the pad. Okay, still got a flat line. So we can go on to ball tracking when ready, please.
Here we go with the red lights. Let's see how many they get. It's been given not out, don't forget.
Okay,
2 so far.
He's out.
He's out, hitting leg stump.
Go back to Richard on field to reverse his decision.
The Indian cheers you can hear as Virat Kohli there gets another one right. I think he had to be slightly persuaded. There were only 2 seconds on the clock left. But I think Shami liked it. It just flicked that front pad, went into the back pad. No bat involved. Shami wanted it. It was given not out. And Kohli's celebrating there with his usual reservation.
Well, yeah. I.e. he's punching the air.
Punching everything that's within 10 yards of him.
World Cup final goal.
Yeah.
Fair enough. It's an important moment because had England gone into T3 down, this pair established, it was looking quite rosy. He played really well, Bairstow. It's an exasperating end to that innings because he barely missed a ball. He defended well. We'd just seen a couple very good shots on the drive. If only he could have got just till tea, there was a prospect of a really significant innings from him, but the technology showed actually the height was not a problem. And it wasn't missing leg stump either, so he had to go.
Yeah. And you look at that score, 138 for 4. England, obviously, they've found it really hard work, and the ball has moved around today. But another couple of wickets, you make it 150 for 6. There's Dan Lawrence to come in next. And then it's Joss Butler, Sam Curran. There are all-rounders, of course, to come.
Yeah.
England batting to number 9 with Ollie Robinson, who showed at Lords that he can certainly bat. And then Broad and Anderson, but India right in this.
Well, it's an important wicket, that, because England were on the cusp of taking the initiative with this pair together. But Shami has just changed that, as has that review. And that you also get that nagging glimpse of the scorecard and you're already thinking, well, there's 4 men gone. Root's there on 50. It all depends on whether Joe can get a really significant score. The trouble with this England lineup is that, you know, there are certain areas where you think it's got to be Root who gets some more, in the past Stokes or 1 or 2 others, but you don't really feel there are many bankers there.
Yeah. A quick word on the Root innings.
Well, so far, in a quite an understated way, he's actually scored quite quickly. He's not bristling, but if he's got something loose, he's cover-driven beautifully, he's playing late. He's not looking impish, as he sometimes does, and yet he's not missed many balls, and if there's something to hit, he's just stroked it away through the covers. So it's a quality innings.
Undemonstrative by Root standards. Yeah, you're right. You are right, actually.
And he's looking pretty serious about this. He's in between balls. He's not joking around, he's not moving around quickly. It's almost like he might have pulled something. He's moving in quite a sort of measured fashion.
He often
too.
chats to fielders, and
yeah,
is generally,
he's not doing all that.
No.
But he's doing a damn good job because he's the only one who's got a significant score so far, and they're still looking to him to play around him. If he could get 100 and someone else will chip in. One of the problems with this England side is that Root is burdened with the demand to play the big innings, because you can't see the big innings coming from many of the other players at the moment.
We shall see. Thank you, Victor. Go and enjoy a cuppa. Let's get some thoughts. Deep Das Gupta is with us, of course. He's going to be joining us in person. I keep forgetting how many days you've got to go in there, Deep, but it's not too far to go.
Wow, three more to go.
Oh, crikey. Well, you keep chalking them off. But that was a timely wicket.
Oh, very much so. That was getting a little concerning. I mean, that whole partnership, 50+ runs partnership, and both of them looking really good. Because you got to keep in mind that England's playing an extra batter, and the bat deep. England bat deep. So anything around that 250, close to 300, and with the forecast that we have for day 2-3 onwards, I mean, but this was a very, very timely wicket, definitely so.
Interesting, because the two successful reviews of Kohli's, it looks like it's had to be slightly talked into it, because of course he lost the one earlier on, but they've both worked out for him.
Yeah, it's a funny thing, isn't it? I mean, you need to talk him out of a review and into a review as well. I mean, he's very, very strong-minded that way, but thank God whoever convinced him did the right thing, because he really needed it. And the other thing that I know for a fact that these guys keep talking about is whether it's umpire's call or not. So if it's given out and if it's umpire's call, they're happy to go with it, even if it's not out, because they know they're not going to lose the review. So their first concern is if it's umpire's call. If it's umpire's call, they're ready to take that chance.
And bowling-wise, Deep, what do you make of the Indian seam bowlers today?
I think very disciplined. Especially they had their plans. The execution was right. Especially the areas that they bowled to Joe Root, especially someone like Shardul Thakur. Pitching it up, making him come on the front foot. Because he's very good off the back foot. He's very good through that point region, in front of point and behind point as well, where he scored at least 4 to 5 boundaries through that area. So I think the lines were right, the length was right as well. I just thought maybe for someone like Shardul, if he was going to bowl that line and length, maybe another fielder at deep point would have protected and given him a little more protection bowling that line and length.
That makes sense. And Mohammad Shami, I mean, he just continues. I mean, what his absolute captain's dream is: wind him up, throw him the ball, in swing, out swing, lovely lengths, terrific bowler.
Absolutely. At times, I wonder if he realizes how good he is. Seriously, because I've seen him when he was a 17-year-old. He comes from the same state. He plays first-class cricket for the same state. So I mean, it's just amazing how good he is. But you know what's so amazing to see, or really heartening to see, is generally he's more of that third spell or second innings bowler. He's unplayable at times in the second innings, but I mean, I've rarely seen him bowl as well as this on day one of a test match. He just takes his time to ease into a test match at times. But today and in this test match, right from ball one, he's been on the money.
Deep, you keep watching, and thanks so much indeed for your thoughts, and we look forward to welcoming you here in person.
Looking forward to it.
Good man. We'll be ready for you.